Hello, my name is Abdul Badawiya, and I will be talking about the article from the Economist, Echoes of 1968, History is Repeated in Protest of the Death of George Floyd. This is an article in the Economist, and I'm just basically going to summarize it, talk about the author's main points, and what I think about the article. I'm going to start off by summarizing the article. Basically, the goal of the article is to inform and explain what is happening in our country today. This article talks about the death of George Floyd and how it has sparked the nationwide protests over police brutality. It also talks about how the National Guard have been called in to add additional support to the police. These events are being compared to the ones in 1968 after Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. The author also explains how rioting and looting are justifiable. The article states how issues addressed 40 years ago are still being addressed today, which is the lack of change in treatment of African Americans. So now I will be talking about the tone of the article. The tone the article is trying to relay is urgency. The information being presented is insistent, and the author is saying something must be done soon. This can be seen from the second part of the title, which says, "and may unhappily continue to repeat itself." Immediately after the title of History Repeating Itself during George Floyd protests. Urgency is also expressed at the end of the article when the author says, "If these protests do soon sputter, with their underlying causes still unaddressed, they will sooner or later reemerge." So now we are moving on to the author's standpoint and the organization of the article itself. The author does not show bias because he is just stating events that have happened in the past and how it is still going on today. The author does not show any contempt for the Black Lives Matter movement and believes something should be done immediately. The audience is able to tell that the author's support for change shows his political views are similar to the Black Lives Matter movement. The organization of this article starts with a background of the events that sparked the protests. It then shows how nothing has really changed since 1968 due to the current events that are going on today. The article then goes back to explaining the systematic issues that must change. Now I will go on to talk about the author's claim. Basically, the author is claiming that history is repeating itself and will continue to do so if there are no changes. The author is able to support these claims by addressing events in 1968 and how they are similar to the ones that are happening today in 2020. The author also talks about issues that have yet to be fixed, which is the direct result of why people are protesting today and why it's still taking place today. Lastly, I'm going to talk about the impact this article has on the world today and my take on this article. The impact of this article is to keep people informed and to explain why the protests are taking place. It is also used to encourage change so that violence does not keep happening. The information being used is easy to follow and comprehend without having prior knowledge to other Black Lives Matter movements. The author does not show a clear stance, but it is evident what message they are trying to convey. For improvements, I would say instead of saying to implement change, leave ways that the people are reading could actually implement change, like leaving petitions to sign or putting links for people so people could donate money to Black Lives Matter movement campaigns and other stuff like that. But other than that, I think this article is really important, and I think a lot of people should read it because it is talking about what is happening today and why the people are so mad and why they are protesting. And it's just a good read because if you aren't behind the Black Lives Matter movement, I'm hoping reading this would help you get behind it.